Naimbag nga aldaw, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Buenos dias a todos. Maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We shall start the symposium at exactly 9 a.m. While waiting, we request everyone to please check the audio and video functions of your equipment to ensure smooth participation. We also request everyone to please type your identification agency name in the YouTube chat box and rename also in Zoom. If you have issues using YouTube, please inform us using the chat box. Our project staff, Ms. Pauline Marie Villar and Ms. Loreline Ramirez, will be glad to assist you in Zoom, and Mr. Pedrito Garcia and Mr. Edmerson Kalungsod on YouTube. Kindly fill out the Google Form attendance sheet at the link shown on screen. Our team has also shared it in the chat box for your easy access. The information you provide in the attendance form will serve as the basis for the details in your electronic certificate of attendance. The e-certificate of attendance will only be issued to participants who will log their attendance and fill out the evaluation forms that will be shared at the end of this symposium. Please take note that this event is being recorded. Rest assured that the Development Academy of the Philippines fully recognizes the value of your personal and your organization's information. Upon joining this symposium, you acknowledge and agree that your information may be used by the DAP for its documentation and/or publicity materials following legal and regulatory standards for data protection. In the meantime, while we wait for the other participants to join, let's watch this video about the DAP.
After 45 years, the Development Academy of the Philippines has much to be proud of. From its small but ambitious beginnings in 1973, the DAP has grown even beyond its founding fathers' vision and expectations. Over the years, the DAP was led by these men and women whose values, passion, and innovative ideas have greatly contributed to its growth. Their competent leadership laid the foundation for the DAP's place in history. Initially, the DAP was created to train career executive service officers in government. Later, the mandate has also included strategic and policy-oriented research and idea generation, in essence being the think tank for the government. It was a good connection. What started out as small ideas have today become institutions in themselves. They were innovations that identified needs and offered solutions, and which now continue to serve the public in many different ways. The DAP's early training and education programs for government executives were also unique and legendary.
Except video. All the presentation materials of the session will be made available after the event. You may access them at the public Google Drive folder shown on screen and the chat box. For further information, please contact us via email at pdc.pdro@dap.edu.ph. Tag us in your photos and stories with the hashtag SQS 2022 when uploading your photos on Facebook and other social media platforms. During our Q&A portion later, please share any and all of your questions in the chat box. Now, for those of us who are not yet familiar with the Government Quality Management Program, let's all together watch this video. In 5 minutes, okay? Right now, we have a total of 140 participants joining us in YouTube.
What
and
do
some of
people
those
actually expect from the
participants. Okay,
What
now
do
let's
people-
watch this video.
actually expect from the government?
Is a government that listens to its people.
It's all about lakas, talino at buhay.
Would be one that would have more of government, less of governance, that would have the welfare of the Filipino people as is primordial concern.
A government that has a very clear vision.
Para sa akin, ang gobyerno, dapat lahat ng kawani ay lingkod bayan.
Passionate about its vision and responsive to the needs of its people and country as a whole.
My idea government is very trustworthy, government that you can rely on, may malasakit sa kapwa mong mamamayan.
Ambisyon Natin 2040 reflects these expectations of the Filipino people through this collective long-term vision for the Philippines. To achieve this vision, the government has to step up to improve services geared towards the people. And this can be done through the Government Quality Management Program, or GQMP. Institutionalized through Executive Order Number 605 in February 23, 2007, the Government Quality Management Program directs government agencies to adopt ISO 9001 Quality Management System, or QMS. GQMP aims to strengthen the institutional capacities of public sector organizations in delivering citizen-focused public services and implement international standards-based QMS. The adoption of the ISO 9001 QMS in the public sector will empower government institutions to provide quality, innovative, efficient, and people-centered public goods and services. Create an enabling environment for the business sector to sustain economic growth, deliver quality health care for Filipinos, and provide quality education to prepare the youth for the future. Over the years, the program, through the Development Academy of the Philippines, or DAP, has been strengthening institutional capacities of public sector organizations in delivering citizen-focused public services through the implementation of the international standards-based QMS. Government agencies which had implemented ISO 9001 QMS attest to the benefits of the standard.
The mandate of DepEd Mandaluyong is to deliver quality basic education services to all of the 23 schools in the city. True to its mandate, we have ensured that we will be certified to a quality management system such as ISO 9001 2015.
Before QMS,
Yung PSA kasi came from 4 different agencies. So you can just imagine anong culture ang dala-dala ng bawat isa. So with QMS, there's this sort of unifying effort kasi now we have one system, one process that everybody should follow. So it helps us be more productive, be more conscious in customer service. Isang klaro sa amin yung pagiging more conscious about satisfying yung customer. But now we are looking also at certain KPIs na nagpo-promote ng comfort level ng mga customers namin. Kumusta ba yung cleanliness namin, timeliness, even yung temperature, we monitor it. Kasi nga, dapat maging comfortable yung customer. These are part of good things coming from QMS.
Sa healthcare, walang room for error. Kasi pag nagkamali ka, napakalaki ng impact. Ang quality, ang pinaka-core dapat ng lahat ng trabaho at operation sa ospital. Nagiging ingrained sa lahat ng empleyado namin. Pagpasok pa lang ng pasyente, paghiga niya sa kama, pag-deliver ng services at paglabas. Kalidad yun ng serbisyo.
A testament to all of this is the number of awards that Muntinlupa has received through the years. Most noteworthy is the back-to-back win for most business-friendly LGU. Speak highly of the level of competence that the city has manifested. And people have come to appreciate that. Not only businessmen, but ordinary folks. They want to start a new business, entrepreneurs who want to engage in a business.
The mandate of the Basis Conversion Development Authority is actually to transform former U.S. military bases, identified military camps like Fort Bonifacio, into economic hub and help the government economy. BCDA, with its current implementation of the QMS, actually help the government in developing a sustainable economy and also the Build program of the government.
For any quality management system, it's very important to monitor what your customers are saying. So, yung customer satisfaction surveys namin, so far, with the implementation of our quality management system, the customer satisfaction is quite high. Actually, we average even above 95% of our customers being satisfied with the extra mile that we provide, their experience.
What kind of service do individual citizens expect from frontline government agencies? Were they happy with the services they received? Through a nationwide citizen satisfaction survey in 2018, frontline government services received an overall rating of 8.37, where 10 is the most satisfied. This means that the efforts of the government to improve the quality of how they deliver frontline services through the QMS are starting to produce good results.
SDO Mandaluyong has always been aware of the needs of the teachers. They conduct needs assessment. So, malaking bagay para sa mga teachers, lalo't ang daming mga innovations ng DepEd. Kung di kami tutulungan ng SDO Mandaluyong, di kami makakasabay.
Napaka-comfortable ngayon kasi aircon na siya. Swabe yung transaction, napaka-smooth lang. Then, napaka-hassle-free.
Dito sa PCMC, ang mga pasyente nagkaroon ng unity, naging isang pamilya dahil alam mo kung ano yung mga nasa puso ng bawat isa.
Dito ngayon sa VPLO kasi mabilis na ang pagkuha. So in 15 minutes, makakuha mo na yung mga permit mo for business. And then, pag renewal naman, mas mabilis na. Unlike before na marami kang pupuntahan, ngayon meron silang one-stop shop.
Accommodating naman sila. Tuwing pupunta ako rito pagka kumukuha ako ng result ng examinations, mabait naman yung nag-assist sa akin kasi in-entertain niya kaagad ako, tapos tinanong niya kaagad ako kung ano ang kailangan ko. Satisfied po ako dito sa Civil Service Commission.
Thank you, QMS! Thank you, QMS!
This is what QMS can bring. A government that will work better, serve better, a government comparable to the best in the world. Government Quality Management Program, bringing quality government service closer to the people. What do
Good morning once again. For those who just joined us in YouTube right now, we have a total of 180 participants. And some of these participants who are already here with us this morning are from the following agencies: BFAR, PhilHealth, DOJ, including the DOJ from the Cagayan de Oro City. And also we have from DOH, including those from also Cagayan de Oro City. We also have those from PIDEA. Magandang umaga po sa inyo dyan, moms and sirs from PIDEA, PFDA, and RITM. And we also are being joined here this morning by several LGUs, such as the LGU of Makati, San Pascual, Lawag, Bacara, El Salvador, IMUS, and agencies like LRTA, LTFRB, PRC, Quirino Memorial Medical Center. Magandang umaga. Good morning po sa inyo dyan, moms and sirs. And Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas. A pleasant morning to you all. May we request everyone to please type your name and agency in the YouTube chat box, okay? Type your name and your agency in the YouTube chat box so we can acknowledge you. Likewise, we will utilize the chat box for queries and requests for assistance. Now, we'd like to share with you this webinar etiquette video to guide us all during this symposium. Thank you in advance for your cooperation. Welcome to the third Government Quality Management Program, or GQMP Symposium on Institutionalizing Service Quality Standards, Best Practices in Using Evidence-Based Service Quality Standards to delight citizens and business clients. Let us take a moment of silence for the invocation.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم اجمع شمل المسلمين والكريستيان والأمة في مدينة دباو وسلم دائما مجتمعنا هذا بالسلم والأمن والتقدم في بلدنا هذا آمين يا رب العالمين. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا إنك أنت الوهاب. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله على خير خلقه سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين يا رب العالمين.
In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you today to praise and worship you and give you thanks for all the things you continue to provide for ourselves and our families. Father, we humbly ask for forgiveness for all the times we have offended you, when we forget to acknowledge your presence in the image of our brothers and sisters, and for moments we fail to be good stewards of the blessings you have given us. Continue to guide and protect each one of us, Lord, that we may always walk in the light of your everlasting love and mercy. Grant us, Father, with your comfort in times of distress and with your strength in times of weakness. Bestow upon us your unending grace and healing, that we may in turn become instruments of gentleness and compassion to others. We ask all this in the name of your Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, with the prayer and the intercession of our Blessed Mother. Amen.
Distinguished secretaries, undersecretaries, assistant secretaries, agency and institution officers, Government Quality Management Committee or GQMC principal members, fellow employees in government, guests, participants, everyone, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Again, welcome to the GQMP's third symposium on institutionalizing service quality standards, best practices in using evidence-based service quality standards to delight citizens and business clients. I am Rica Pilar T. Bustamante of the Development Academy of the Philippines Productivity and Development Center. I will be your master of ceremonies for this symposium. As we are hosting this on Zoom, we are also live streaming on YouTube. You can still ask your friends and colleagues to join us on YouTube at the link found on screen and the chat box. Right now, we have a total of 230 participants on YouTube from across the country. Please log your attendance through the link found in the chat box, so we may properly acknowledge you during the discussions. This will also help us track your participation and assess those who will qualify for a certificate of attendance. To welcome us all, we have with us the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Development Academy of the Philippines, Attorney Engelbert C. Caronan Jr., to give us his welcome remarks. Please give him a virtual clap.
Our distinguished guests, Department of Budget and Management Undersecretary Kim Robert De Leon,
Development Bank of the Philippines Senior Vice President for Strategic Planning, Ronaldo Tepora, Land Bank of the Philippines Senior Vice President for Strategy and Knowledge Management Group, Elcid Pangilinan, Philippine Airlines Officer in Charge for Customer Experience Division, Jean Norin Legaspi, officers and staff from national government agencies, local government units, government-owned and controlled corporations, state universities and colleges, and business representatives from various parts of the country. Ladies and gentlemen, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. We are pleased to have you all with us this morning for the Government Quality Management Program's third symposium on institutionalizing service quality standards, best practices in using evidence-based service quality standards to delight citizens and business clients. We all know that a smooth and happy frontline service experience in government facilities remains a challenge, especially in a constantly changing environment. Back in 2019, the first GQMP Symposium, held face-to-face at DAP in Pasig City, focused on the value of measuring service quality of frontline government service. The following year, in 2020, during the pandemic, the second GQMP Symposium, held virtually, explored the subject, working together to meet citizens' expectations in frontline government service. This year, after presenting the key findings of the 2021 Business Satisfaction e-Survey, knowing what satisfaction score was given by businesses to government agencies and offices, let us know how organizations in the public and private sectors are listening to their clients and using information gathered from them to develop service quality standards that will not only meet clients' expectations, but also bring delight to them. Incidentally, today's event coincides with the end of the current administration and the beginning of a new era of governance. As public servants, we know the tough challenges ahead of us. We know that our transacting public wants more from the government, from social protection to security, safety, and enough food on their table. They want more, and they deserve more. These days, we need not guess what businesses expect. Data on their satisfaction levels and expectations are available government-wide. From the DAP survey results, you will hear later, or agency-level data, because these are now being required. But how do we translate these valuable inputs into service quality standards? Let us take a look on how others are doing it. Learn from the best practices to be shared by our distinguished guest speakers. Through this virtual event, we hope to inspire you, fellow government employees and public servants, to continue considering evidence-based inputs or feedbacks from businesses and incorporating this data to improve the design and delivery of frontline government services. We hope you will get practical points from this morning's presentations that you can apply in your agency. After all, building good service experience will not happen by accident. It can only happen by design. Again, magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. And as we say at DAP, we do this para sa Diyos, para sa bayan, para sa mamamayan.
Thank you, President Caronan, for the warm and meaningful opening remarks. Indeed, nothing can stop us from learning best practices in government. Whatever challenges we may be experiencing in the workplace today, each one of us present here, especially those in the frontline service, are all eager to learn how to delight our fellow citizens and business clients from organizations who are already using feedback from clients to develop service quality standards, or SQS. Also, we sincerely thank everyone for joining us in this symposium, which is organized by the Development Academy of the Philippines on behalf of the Government Quality Management Program for public sector organizations to raise awareness on the key results of the nationwide 2021 Business Satisfaction e-Survey or eBizSat, and to showcase best practices in using evidence-based SQS in service delivery. To introduce our keynote speaker, we would like to call on the DAP Senior Vice President, Magdalena L. Mendoza.
Good morning. It is my privilege to introduce to you our guest speaker. He is a career service executive and a licensed environmental planner, topping the environmental planner licensure examination in 2016. Our keynote speaker holds a bachelor's degree in public administration from the University of the Philippines, National College of Public Administration and Governance, graduating magna cum laude and class valedictorian in 2014. He also holds a master's degree in urban and regional planning from the University of the Philippines School of Urban and Regional Planning. Over his brief but illustrious career, our speaker has already garnered a number of honors and awards under his belt from prestigious institutions. He started his career in the government as a youth development officer for the Navotas City Council for Youth Development from 2013 to 2016, and as Council Scout Executive in the Navotas City Council from 2015 to 2020. He then worked for the Office of the President, starting as a presidential staff in 2017, and later served as director in 2018. He is now with the Department of Budget and Management, supervising different bureaus and offices, as well as government initiatives and projects for the department. He is concurrently the Undersecretary and Functional Group Head of the Organization and Systems Improvement Group, Information and Communications Technology Group of the department. Please help me welcome DBM Undersecretary Kim Robert C. De Leon.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Dodeng, for that introduction. A very good morning to President Caronan of the DAP and all our fellow resource persons for this morning. And on behalf of our officer in charge, Undersecretary Tina Rosemary L. Canda, we would like to thank the DAP for inviting us to be with you today in this third symposium of the Government Quality Management Program on Institutionalizing Service Quality Standards. One of the earliest but most useful and enduring advice on excellence that I have ever come across is so simple, direct, and instructive. To excel in life and in career, we need to seek clarity. The same idea may have been expressed in more lyrical language by artists and or sages, but that short, concise sentence to me lives out exactly what it instructs, succinctly and clearly. But what is clarity? One asks next. Clarity in the context of life and career, the advice goes on, is knowing not only what we want and where we are going. That is easy, as life and career goals are mostly well-defined and direction setting is often covered by regular mission, vision, and planning sessions in the workplace. Clarity is also knowing who we are. We need to be able to see ourselves not only in terms of what we are capable of doing and perhaps already doing, but in terms of an awareness of what we do well and what we can still improve on. This level of clarity comes not from looking within, but looking beyond the self, seeing from the eyes of others to learn more about ourselves. The gift of sight, other sight through feedback. And since it is in government service where most of us here find ourselves career-wise, I think of this in the context of aiming to excel in our work as public servants by seeking clarity about ourselves and about the service we render through feedback. Feedback, it has been said, is a fast and sure way to focus our efforts, redirect a course rather, and ultimately achieve a goal. But only if one sees the process through, a process that involves actively seeking feedback, studying and understanding it, and finally acting on it. This morning's event will aim to provide that, the clarity we seek, leading to the excellence that we aspire for in life and in career, or more precisely, the excellence we constantly and collectively aspire for as government workers and service delivery agents in our respective departments, agencies, and offices at the service of our respective clients and beneficiaries, and ultimately the Filipino people. Today, we gather for another symposium organized by the Development Academy of the Philippines Productivity Development Center under the Government Quality Management Program. This is the third symposium in a series on institutionalizing service quality standards, or SQS. And like the earlier two, this activity aims to update us on developments in the DAP-PDC's 5-year program. The GQMP was launched in 2018 and is designed to improve the delivery of public services and institutionalize service quality standards in frontline government service. The ultimate objective is to steer the bureaucracy towards a more citizen-centered service delivery consciousness and culture of quality. We used to think that this was a tall order and almost an unreachable goal, given the magnitude and diversity of the bureaucracy. But 4 years into the program, and amazingly, even despite and through a raging and still continuing global health crisis, we have already begun to see the promise of fruits from the efforts. The program adopts an evidence-based approach to the objective of institutionalizing SQS by utilizing established tools such as research and surveys for data gathering and analysis. These are then presented for sharing, reflection, and discussion through a series of symposia organized by the DAP-PDC. The first symposium, which was held in 2019, as mentioned by President Caronan, focused on measuring service quality of frontline government service and was the venue for the presentation of the results and highlights of the first Citizens Satisfaction Survey. It also sought initial inputs towards identifying service quality dimensions for frontline government services dealing with the business sector. The second symposium in July last year could not and did not ignore the realities of the COVID-19 pandemic. It was conducted as a virtual gathering of government agency representatives, boldly addressing the need to find ways of working together to meet citizens' expectations in frontline government service. The participants also received the results of the e-Citizen Satisfaction Survey in 2020, which was conducted online and content-wise relatively and directly addressed the reality of living with the virus and adapting to a new normal. The survey highlights were offered to frontline government agencies and offices for their guidance and or used as a reference in adopting evidence-based service quality standards in the delivery of their services, especially in view and under the new normal setup. While the first two surveys sought to determine the citizens' level of satisfaction with regard to government service delivery, the latest survey was addressed to the business sector. The DAP-PDC's 2021 Business Satisfaction e-survey sought to get the satisfaction rating of business owners, entrepreneurs, managers, and their representatives based on their experiences in transacting with government agencies, including LGUs, with frontline services during the pandemic. An interesting segment of today's symposium is the presentation, as its theme and title indicate, on best practices in using evidence-based service quality standards. A sharing on best practice is always enticing to one who is open to learn from wisdom and experience of others. But add to that, to delight citizens and business clients, then what we have is an opportunity not only to learn about our citizens and business clients rate our service based on the results of the EB's SAT, but how to use this information to further improve on our service. In short, the talks this morning will tackle the results of the 2021 survey and offer examples of what we can do with these results, how we can make sense of them, use them to be better at what we do, adjust what needs to be refined, and revise what is not helpful. These are important inputs because they come from business community, owners, entrepreneurs, managers, and their representatives, who are our partners in nation building and in providing services to our fellow Filipinos. They have direct interaction with our people, and because of this, their feedback, the gift of their sight and voice, is valuable for our understanding and growth. There we have it, clarity that will hopefully help us to excel, but only if we take note of the results of the survey as evidence-based information and incorporate the analysis of these results into our future actions. And if we are able to fully appreciate how we can fully adapt or perhaps adapt to our unique situations, the best practices in harnessing evidence-based information for service excellence. As PDC, Productivity Development Research Office Director Monica Salientres puts it so well, it is high time that government agencies and local government units utilize the survey results as evidence-based inputs to improve the design and delivery of frontline government service in the new normal that will help increase the satisfaction levels of citizens and business clients. In conclusion, let us not forget that government does not and cannot know everything. The nice thing to hear is this: we can always learn something new. Often, the first institutions that initiate impactful change in the country are businesses. Digital transformation, cashless transactions, electronic vehicles, virtual work, among many others, are trends that have been set by private companies. So I encourage all of us to pay attention today because the evidence from the survey can enlighten us and the learnings from the best practices can encourage and empower us. At the heart of this message is not the survey results alone. It is what comes after. I have talked about the why of this event. After we listen and discuss, when we are about to leave this room and go back to our respective agencies, I hope that we ask ourselves another question: what now? I hope doing so will propel us to strive so we can hear better remarks and discuss new evidence that will tell us that we did a great job in providing accessible and exemplary services to our people. Let us reach for the clarity we seek today in the feedback from the survey. Get the right feedback to grow. Listen to examples of best practices that have made use of feedback to excel. And more than ever, it is our privilege and will be the people's reward. Mulit muli, isang karangalan ang maglingkod sa bayan. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay ang sambayan ng Pilipino.
Thank you, Yusek De Leon. As we all would agree, we look forward to seeing client-centric service quality standards at all levels of government. This approach is also in line with the quality management system and is a good way to deliver services that the public expects. Once again, maraming salamat po. Thank you, Yusek De Leon. Let's all give him a virtual round of applause. After hearing from President Caronan and Yusek De Leon, I think everyone now has an idea of what we can expect this morning. May I now invite everyone here in Zoom to please turn on your camera for a brief photo opportunity with Yusek De Leon. And we shall be assisted by Miss Pauline Marie S. Villar, who will give us the instructions. Hello, Pam.
Hello, good morning, everyone. For anybody comfortable to turn on cameras, please make sure that you have your biggest smiles on. Thank you. On my count, 3, 2, 1. Thank you. Just one more shot, please. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Pam. We thank you all today for making it to this symposium. We look forward to hearing your comments and interacting with you throughout this event. This symposium hopes to specifically achieve 3 objectives. First, to raise awareness on the whole of government satisfaction score and expectations given by businesses in 2021 during the pandemic. Second, to encourage participants to consider evidence-based inputs from businesses in their efforts to improve the design and delivery of frontline government service in the new normal. And third, showcase best practices in using client-based service standards for improving service design and delivery that can be adopted by public sector organizations. The theme of this third GQMP symposium is Best Practices in Using Evidence-Based Service Quality Standards to Delight Citizens and Business Clients. The symposium has brought all of us together, government agencies and offices with frontline services, including oversight agencies. We are here to listen and learn from the sharing of best practices on how to improve service delivery. Should you have questions and clarifications, you may type them in the chat box. Kindly indicate your name and agency. Our speakers will address them during the question and answer portion. The first presentation will focus on the evidence-based service quality standards, or SQS, to delight customers. Nationwide 2021 Business Satisfaction e-Survey or e-BizSat survey results. Please allow me to introduce our first speaker. Here with us today is none other than Ms. Monica D. Saliendres, a fellow at the DAP. She is currently the director of DAP's Productivity and Development Research Office, Productivity Development Center. Her work experience includes program management, monitoring and evaluation, application of quality and productivity systems throughout the agro-industry's value chain, and benchmarking, among others. She conducted research work for the agriculture sector in the Philippines, India, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam. She also serves as faculty advisor and program representative for the Public Management Development Program, or PMDP Scholars of the DAP, and has served as a Philippine Quality Award Assessor for 3 cycles for both the public and private sectors. She has more than 20 years of experience with the public sector and holds a Master in Public Administration, major in Public Policy and Program Administration from the University of the Philippines, where she also earned her bachelor's degree in Public Administration. Everyone, let us welcome Director Monica D. Saliendres with a warm round of applause. Hello, Monica.
Hello. Thank you, Rika, for that introduction. To our partner, the Department of Budget and Management, led by Undersecretary Kim Robert C. De Leon, to the officials of various government agencies, our distinguished guest speakers from the government and private sectors, colleagues in DAP and in the government sector from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. A pleasant morning to all of you. Thank you for this opportunity to present the results of the DAP study in 2021 under the Government Quality Management Program. Let me just walk you through the outline of my presentation this morning. First, we will talk about what the project is all about and the steps in establishing service quality standards. Second part will be sharing the result of the 2021 e-business satisfaction survey, or what we call the e-BSAT survey results. The last part will be a discussion on how to use SQS in managing expectation of transacting public in the new normal. This project is not a new initiative. If you were able to attend last year virtual symposium, you will recall that we presented the satisfaction score that our citizens and businesses gave to our government frontline service providers before the pandemic. Next slide, please. We started measuring whole of government satisfaction survey in 2018, starting with the citizens' perspective. And in 2019, it was the businesses' turn. Thanks to the support of the current administration, we were able to continue this even during the pandemic. And last year, we also shared the results of the 2020, as mentioned earlier. And it's about the citizen satisfaction survey, bringing to light our citizens how they felt on the way government deliver its services. So why do we need to do this? The project on institutionalizing service quality standards in frontline government service is one major initiative under the Government Quality Management Program, or the GQMP. The project supports the GQMP's aim to effect improvement in the public sector performance by ensuring citizens' focus and consistent quality of public services. In particular, the SQS project seeks to contribute in improving citizen and business satisfaction to help achieve the overarching societal goal of inclusive growth and the sectoral goal of ensuring a responsive, people-centered, technology-enabled, and clean governance, as stated in the updated Philippine Development Plan, specifically in Chapter 5. So then, what is service quality standard before we go further? SQS is our public promise to our clients, defining the service that they will receive. Typically, they address levels of communications, kinds of access, measure of timeliness, the kind of interaction between staff and clients, etc. So that's SQS. So our value proposition, or the program's value proposition, are improvement in the quality of frontline services, contribution to ease of doing business, and building or strengthening people's trust in the government. Then, establishing and implementing service quality standard is not an easy task. It is a continuous journey. It involves measurement, planning how we will get to our end goal, and the last stage is the implementation. Of course, the second stage is followed by prioritization. Okay, for the results. Similar to the 2020, the 2021 survey was conducted in two parts for the purpose of shortening the length of time a respondent has to answer a survey at a given time. The first part measured the satisfaction level of businesses, and it was conducted in September to October 2021 with 2,977 nationwide respondents. The second part, which measured businesses' expectation from government services, was conducted in November to December with 1,195 respondents. Both parts were conducted online to ensure that we have enough respondents, and we also conducted telephone interviews. Briefly, the profile of respondents in both surveys are females, about 70%, and most of them are owners, founders, and some managers or supervisors. And if you compare it to the turnout of a face-to-face or in-person survey in 2019, it seems that there's a bigger chance of getting owners to answer if it's online, probably because they are more likely to be the ones who have access to the internet, and we directly send the email to them. For the company size, they are mostly micro enterprises. The businesses are mostly from the service sector, and others will include financial and insurance and education and agriculture businesses. In terms of service dimension used for the study, our take-off point was the 2019 instrument and the guidelines released by AO Interagency Task Force or IATF. We have about 8 dimensions. In the interest of time, I will not define each one of the service dimension, but you can find their definition in the study or in the IATF guidelines. We know that for some, the 8 dimensions are just too much. And for this year, citizen satisfaction survey, we're trying to rationalize this dimension. Please comment on the chat box if you think this is too much or just right. Next slide. So where are we now? We answer this by measuring business satisfaction. So for the result, a year after the pandemic started and the Philippines having the strictest lockdowns, the overall government to business satisfaction score is 82.58. This score is slightly higher compared to the 2019 government to business satisfaction score of 80.53. And by island group, compared to either island score, Mindanao got the highest score of 88.57, followed by Visayas with the score of 84.49 and Luzon 81.74 and NCR with 74. Note that Luzon and NCR score are below the overall or aggregate national score. And unfortunately, we could not compare yet our score with other jurisdictions like Canada, like we did last year. Canada's Business First study is yet to be released this July. So please stay tuned to our social media pages for further updates on this. As mentioned, the 2021 EBSAT is slightly higher by almost 3 points compared to 2019. The nearly 3 point difference could be attributed to marginal improvement of service delivery, such as improvements in e-government services from 2020. So in terms of agency cluster, where we clustered frontline government agencies and offices based on the type of frontline services they provide, like economic business registration, social and welfare services, and with LGUs as another cluster, you can see that the social and welfare services received the lowest satisfaction score of 77.01, significantly lower than the aggregate national score. Possible reason? It could have been affected by perception of delivery of services related to the pandemic response. And satisfaction scores can be further disaggregated according to business experience in various methods of contacts. And for government to business person transaction, the highest satisfaction score is about 82.58. This is slightly higher than those who transacted by phone call transaction with 80.33. Online or through website transaction is 79. Clearly an area where delivering frontline services can be further improved to increase business satisfaction, especially that this is the second preferred mode of transaction. Then, so what contributed to the business satisfaction with frontline service delivery in 2021? We have here the top 10 key drivers. Again, key drivers are factors that hold significant importance and have the greatest influence on business satisfaction across frontline government agency. These are vital not only in gaining a better understanding of the government to business satisfaction score, but also in improving service delivery. Compared to 2019, we did not find similar indicators in 2021. For instance, if before there are drivers related to attributes such as presence of a queuing system, clean restrooms, we did not see those in 2021. What we have is that the transacting public expects smooth transaction, hassle-free, easy payment, speed to resolve problems, clear processes, reachable and responsive agency, fast overall transaction time. We also want to highlight that in 2021, 2 attributes related to government regulation emerged as key drivers: benefit of regulation to business growth and adjustment to regulatory requirement due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Here, next slide. Here are the top service attributes that businesses identify to be highly important to them. Note that top attributes are expectation of our businesses and not necessarily the attributes that got the highest score. It may be the contrary. And these attributes can be used by government agency in setting evidence-based service quality standards. Compared to 2019, we did not see similarities again of expectation except for ease of payment. Although we have almost the same dimension, but this time they expect a different features of those dimension. For example, in communication, if before they are looking for frontliners communicating clearly, now what they expect is clear transaction process. Since they be transacting not just in person, but also using other modalities like online or through website or via phone call. And then we have the new dimension that they expect us to observe in terms of complaint mechanism, particularly fast complaint resolution, and the other two related to government regulation. Okay, so we go now to the second part of the journey in which is the prioritization. We prioritize based on feedback of citizens and businesses. In this way, we can meet and eventually exceed their expectation. Next slide. Yeah. The findings on the drivers of satisfaction and top attributes should be analyzed vis-a-vis the expectation, needs, and wants of businesses. For instance, we see here the business expectation on the time to complete transaction per type of or mode of service, how long they want the transaction to be done. For in-person transaction, shortest is 2 days. For phone transaction, the shortest is 11 minutes. For online here, medyo they can still manage up to 31 minutes. Note that in terms of standard setting, it should be anchored on the shortest amount of time. Don't let clients wait. You may risk decreasing your satisfaction score. And then for the preference on the mode of transaction, face-to-face transaction is the still the preferred mode of transaction. Although there are also a significant portion of those who prefer website or via apps. Then the second slide, these slides show widespread preference for using electronic or online submission of forms. Also, in terms of preferred means of communication, it's through the internet, social media, and agency website. In terms of payment, preferred payment method is over the counter, but a significant proportion prefer through banks or mobile payments. Okay, with all the preferences mentioned, how do we prioritize? A further analysis of the survey results should show us how to set priorities, considering the resources needed to implement service quality improvement. You know, we have very limited resources. The importance performance matrix or IPM or priority matrix is an analytical tool commonly used to identify the key strength and critical gaps in customer service delivery. The attributes are distributed into an IPM with 4 quadrants or focus area in which there are corresponding action to be taken to address each area. So for quadrant 1, which is the core strength, you have to protect it. For quadrant 2, it's a critical gaps. That's the one you need to improve. And for quadrant 3, this is the low impact attributes. So be aware of it. And lastly, for quadrant 4, these are secondary attributes. So you just have to maintain it. Okay, next slide. In terms of using the IPM, we found that the 6 service quality attributes that are core strength and we found out that there are 6 service quality attributes that are core strength and 4 attributes that are the critical gaps in the delivery of frontline government services. As defined earlier, critical gaps are service attributes that receive low satisfaction ratings in the survey but are considered important by business clients. So what are those attributes? Speed to resolve complaints, transaction time, adjustment of regulatory requirements due to COVID-19, reachable and responsive agency hotline numbers. So those are the areas that you may want to consider improving. And going went through the SQS journey again. The third stage is how we will get there. How do we translate this expectation to standard? This will require actually creativity, and this is a new way to set targets also. Slide. You can see on your screen in the first column are the expectation, and the second column are sample service quality standards that match the expectation. Example, I will not go through them all. Example, speed to resolve complaints. We got it done in 3 days, so you don't have to worry about it. Benefits of regulation on the growth of my businesses, or my business. We help you grow. And next slide, on reachable and responsive hotline numbers, we will answer your call within 30 seconds. Another example of regarding the time to complete transaction and getting what I needed, we will release the document you requested within 2 to 5 days. So those are example. And now the last stage pertains to the implementation where you monitor, measure, and ensure accountability. Then, for this particular stage, two main points we would like to stress is the need to translate standards into concrete service promises, and this can come in the form of your citizen charter. It can serve as a written promise by which citizens can level up their expectation as to the level and quality of services to be provided by the organization. The second point is to benchmark with other organizations, like what we're going to do today, by learning, sharing information, and adapting best practices. And to provide an example, this is an example of a service quality standard from Jollibee Food Corporation. It's in red ribbon. So sorry if it's not really a good shot. They have 3 dimensions: safety, malasakit, and efficiency. And they translated it to we make every moment sweeter. It reflected their concerns on food safety, taking care of your needs and efficiency. I think it will not be sweet if you will wait for 30 minutes to be served. So I guess that's their their promise. Okay, with that, what are our key takeaways? First, survey confirms that while face-to-face transaction is still the preferred mode of transaction, there is a marked preference for conducting transaction using online modalities in payment, submission of forms, and contacting government agency. Preference for fast, smooth transaction remains, whether before or during pandemic. And another, at face value, the results lead us to conclude that online is the way to go. By identifying key drivers of satisfaction and top attributes of service delivery and translating this into service quality standard, we found out the need to improve certain aspect of quality service delivery based on business expectation. With that, tungo sa sapat at mahusay na serbisyo, maraming salamat at magandang umaga po sa ating lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Ms. Nika. Ma'am, it's really good to note po in your presentation. It's good to see we are surprised by the shift of expectations of the businesses from the efficient, fast frontline service. And in 2021, ang sinabi po nila, they want clear transaction process. Okay, so that's very interesting. And challenge po sa ating mga government agencies. Now, how do we translate? As mentioned by Ma'am Nika earlier, how do we translate the expectations or these expectations of the businesses into service quality standards para mas ma-improve po natin ang service delivery natin? Okay, so you can use this results of the BSAT survey to be your basis later on for your minimum standards. Okay, so you can visit DAP for this. Thank you again, Ms. Tika, for a very informative presentation. Later, we will have an opportunity to ask her more about the results of the 2021 eBizSat. Before we proceed with the other presentations, let us all take a 15-minute break. See you, or rather 10-minute break. See you after 10 minutes.
magkaugnay. Hayop, halaman, tao ay magkaugnay. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Tayo ay nakasakay sa mundong naglalakbay sa gitna ng kalawakan. Umiikot sa bituin na nagbibigay buhay sa halaman at sa hayop at sa atin. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Isang pinagmulan, iisang hantungan ng ating lahi. Kamag-anak at katribo ang lahat ng narito sa lupa at sa laot at sa langit. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Lupa, laot, langit ay magkaugnay. Hayop, halaman, tao ay magkaugnay. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay. Magkaugnay ang lahat. Ang lahat ng bagay ay magkaugnay.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you were able to relax during the break. For the first presentation on best practices in using evidence-based service quality standards to meet client expectations, we will hear from the Land Bank of the Philippines how they came up with and how they deliver their promise of serving the nation. This will be shared with us by the Senior Vice President of the Land Bank of the Philippines Strategy and Knowledge Management Group, Mr. Elcid Pangilinan. He currently serves as the head of the Land Bank Strategy and Knowledge Management Group, which leads in the strategic initiatives of the bank. Prior to this, he was a development professional for various organizations such as USAID, Millennium Challenge Account Philippines, and the United Nations Development Program. He isn't a newcomer in government. He has been with various government institutions for almost 30 years, including the Department of Education and the Office of the President's Presidential Management Staff. He also shared his expertise as a member of the faculty of various academic institutions, including the De La Salle System, the Ateneo de Manila University, the University of Asia and the Pacific, among others. He earned his Master's of Science in Economics from the London School of Economics and Political Science University of London. His major field of study was social policy and planning in developing countries. Mr. Pangilinan was also a Hubert H. Humphrey Fellow of Public Policy Management and Finance at the Boston University in Massachusetts, USA. In addition, he currently holds active membership in the CITEM Board of Governors, UCPB Leasing and Finance Corporation Board, and UCPB Securities Incorporated Board, and leadership positions in non-government organizations such as President of the Chevening Alumni Foundation of the Philippines, Incorporated, and immediate past President, Hubert H. Humphrey Alumni Association, and the British Alumni Association. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome SVP Elcid Pangilinan. Magandang umaga po, sir.
Magandang umaga. Thank you for giving us Magandang umaga, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to share about Land Bank's quality journey. Maraming salamat sa DAP and the GQMP for selecting Land Bank as a best practice in the area of using evidence-based service quality standards to meet clients' expectations. I always remind my team that we are a learning organization. As such, we continue to learn and look for opportunities for improvement. So maybe ours is not really the best, but we are rather a good example of how we strive to be an organization to adopt practices worthy to be emulated and always to challenge ourselves to be better every day. Our story is, as an institution, is tied with the stories of growth of our mandated clients. While intensifying support to our priority sectors is a continuing commitment, Land Bank has fully transformed into a development-oriented institution that is responsive to the call of the times. Recently, we have rolled out a series of information and communication materials to showcase a bigger, better, and stronger Land Bank. From our brand promise of "We help you grow," we are now adopting a defining statement that reflects our evolution as a true and faithful lingkod bayan. Land Bank is #serving the nation. Here's a short clip that exemplifies Land Bank's transformation in the middle of the most difficult time of our country.
Land Bank has extended to the agriculture sector. As of October this year, over 2.5 million farmers and fishers have benefited from the assistance.
I think ang Land Bank ngayon ang pinaka-busing bangko sa lahat ng bangko sa Pilipinas.
Land Bank just made its loan application process simpler and more accessible to farmers and fishermen. Land Bank committed to resolve loan applications within 1 day compared to the maximum 10-day commitment for GOCCs.
Mas pinabuti ng Land Bank of the Philippines ang kanilang suporta sa sektor ng agrikultura.
The bank has reached out to more farmers, fishermen, and other struggling sectors nationwide this year.
Land Bank partners with several government agencies in delivering and disbursing cash grants to qualified beneficiaries under the Social Amelioration Program.
Nagpapasalamat po kami for the opportunity to serve during this difficult period. Magbayanihan tayo at siguradong walang putol ho ang serbisyo ng Land Bank sa aming mga kliyente. Tutuparin ho namin ang aming mandato na makapagserbisyo sa ating mga kababayan.
As we recognize the needs of our wider clientele in the middle of the pandemic, Land Bank continues its mandate, constantly at the forefront of serving key industries and movers of the country, delivering timely support to marginalized and vulnerable sectors, banking the unbanked, working alongside local partners to revitalize communities, and pursuing other initiatives to advance the national government's inclusive development agenda, all of which would not have been possible without the active engagement of our stakeholders in the continuous improvement of our products and services and overall business process patterned after internationally recognized standards. Allow me please to share Land Bank's journey to lead in #ServingTheNation through the following key points. Number one, analyzing data from our engagement with stakeholders, understanding and responding to our stakeholders' financial services requirements. 3, ensuring reliability as a government financial institution capable of serving the nation. And 4, maintaining quality business process aligned with international standards. We take pride in our role in promoting inclusive growth and national development. We strike a balance between fulfilling our social mandate of nation building while remaining financially viable. This makes Land Bank unique, with profits derived from commercial banking operations and using this to finance the bank's developmental programs and initiatives for economic recovery. Land Bank's operations is anchored on 3 business goals: pursuing our mandate, viable operations, and quality service to our customers. And to maintain quality service standards, the bank aligned its business processes to the ISO framework, which utilizes the PDCA, or Plan, Do, Check, and Act cycle. These are examples of how Land Bank gathers information through its active engagement with national government agencies and our various publics. We conducted stakeholders fora, relationship or engagement officers in the field proactively responding to requirements of our LGU customers, and empowering customers through internal and external feedback channels, among others. Further, we also commissioned a third-party research firm to conduct a nationwide customer satisfaction survey. We are happy to report that despite the pandemic, survey result in 2021 showed an overall customer satisfaction rating of more than 90%. This result, along with its recommendations and the feedback gathered from our other feedback channels, are presented to the management and the board as part of our commitment to listen to the voice of the customer and develop products and services that respond to it. We also engage with our customers through various social media channels, as well as the availability of 24/7 customer service. This enables us to capture firsthand feedback from our clients. As a matter of fact, our being active on various social media platforms was one of the recommendations during the NCSS. Prior to the pandemic, Land Bank already provided channels to its customers for safe and convenient banking. The lockdowns and quarantine situation only strengthened our online and digital banking services, resulting to a growth in utilization to 65.3 million transactions. This is 30% higher from the 50.1 million transactions recorded in the previous year. The Land Bank Digital Onboarding System, or what we call DOBS, and the Land Bank Pay are also examples of products and services in response to our clients' needs. Launched in 2018, the DOBS reduced account opening time and simplified the enrollment process for clients. The bank recorded a cumulative total of 2.52 million accounts opened through this system, with about 1.3 million accounts opened in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. This allowed our customers to open accounts at the convenience of their homes. The Land Bank Pay app, on the other hand, was also launched as a channel for an all-in-one payment solution. This application provides users with personal virtual transaction prepaid account for safer and more convenient mobile-based payment services. Some of its features include cash in, cash out, bills payment, cashless shopping, requests for funds, fund transfer, and LBP padala, among others. As of May 2022, Land Bank Pay recorded a total of 127,229 registered users. More than maximizing the existing platforms that we have, Land Bank, through our strong partnerships with NGAs and LGUs, developed lending products such as Rise Up LGUs, iRescue, Academe, iStudy, and iRescue bus transport lending programs to address the needs and requirements of various sectors to recover from the effects of the pandemic. True to its commitment to continuously improve, Land Bank is currently developing a digital lending system to improve the loan availment process for our lending customers. Land Bank takes all of this further by enhancing the mobile banking app and Land Bank Pay's features to sustain its positive ratings and better serve its clients. With the realizations that it has a unique role, capacity, and capability in serving the nation, especially during the crisis, Land Bank endeavors to strengthen not only its platforms, but we continuously reach out to the farthest off communities in the country, being present in 1,200 cities and municipalities all over the Philippines. To complement the traditional brick and mortar banking, Land Bank increases its touch points by offering mobile ATMs, mobile branches, connecting with more than 1,000 agent banking partners covering 167 previously unbanked municipalities, and partnering with the likes of 7-Eleven for 24/7 ATM withdrawals, all free of charge. A bigger, better, and stronger Land Bank capable of serving the nation is evident in the following developments. Land Bank tapped by the government to become the surviving entity in the merger with the former UCPB. It is also a key partner in the national government's flagship Build, Build, Build program for property valuation. And to reach our kababayans abroad, our OFWs from over 100 countries and territories, Land Bank also provided service to the Filipino whenever, wherever, through its subsidiary, the Overseas Filipino Bank. This is the first branchless, digital-only bank in the country. Land Bank also collaborated with the Philippine Statistics Authority for the PhilSys, or the Philippine Identification System project, to bring unbanked Filipinos into the country's financial system and allow them to access a wide range of banking services. Land Bank contributed also to the $205.27 million or close to 13% of the 1.6 billion generated from the maiden retail dollar bond offering of the Bureau of the Treasury. More than 1,500 families struggling to get decent housing in Payatas, Quezon City will also now have opportunities for owning the land that they have been living in for over 4 decades after Land Bank agreed to sell its property at a much lower price. In the most difficult of times, Land Bank continues to serve the nation through the delivery of financial support to various sectors, including those who are affected by economic disruptions caused by natural calamities and man-made conflicts. The Land Bank Nation Serves lending program provides additional working capital for businesses to strengthen their operations, expand trading facilities, and stockpiled supplies and inventories to mitigate the actual or impending impact posed by such crises. At the heart of what we do, Land Bank's leadership ensures that the core values and principles of the institution are embodied in its policies, frameworks, and guidelines that shape and guide the bank's business processes and practices. These mechanisms do not only ensure that service quality standards are maintained, but also serves as our pledge of commitment to our customers and the community at large. To ensure that controls are consistently in place, Land Bank performs IMS assessments, aside from operations audit, to check on the bank's compliance with the ISO standards, as well as internal service quality surveys to assess the strength of our internal processes. Moreover, third-party certification and accreditation, statutory regulatory audits are also being conducted to ensure operational controls and continuous improvement. To date, Land Bank is certified to both quality and environmental management systems to about 70 sites and our head office, the Land Bank Plaza. To further embed a culture of quality and innovation, Land Bank launched the Quality Circles program in 2017, where groups of employees participated in the development and problem-solving activities that would help improve quality, efficiency, productivity, and innovation in the workplace. This program allows the bank to harness the innovative and creative power of the employees and translate it to implemented projects or initiatives. As the saying goes, having service quality standards does not happen overnight. It is the fruit of hard work, compassion, dedication, continuous improvement, and commitment to serve. Compliments, praises, positive criticisms are our powerful drivers for growth. Results of these are evident in various recognitions that the bank has received. Our quest for quality resulted in the Land Bank's conferment with the PQA recognition for proficiency in quality management, level 2, and the Quest for Excellence Award in the Asia Pacific Quality Organization. As a result of our commitment to service quality, Land Bank now ranks second in terms of assets and deposits, and fourth in terms of loans and capital as of first quarter of this year. We have surpassed our commitment of assisting 3 million farmers and fishers, registering 3.2 million by the end of 2021. Our e-banking transactions value soared at 2.45 trillion in 2021. All of these, including the awards that Land Bank has received for its performance in 2021, inspires all land bankers to continuously work extra harder with our commitment to serve the nation. Let me end my presentation with another video of Land Bank's redefined purpose as an industry leader for national development, reflecting our evolution as true and faithful lingkod bayan.
Land Bank has always believed that in this country, we have to dream big. And so we learn to build something out of nothing. Improving the quality of life for our people and stretching our collective imagination as far as we can so that we can keep in step with a brave new world and make our big dreams come true.
With passion in our hearts, Land Bank believes in the power of dreams. From these dreams come ambition, innovation, and persistence, guiding principles which we have shared with the Filipino people in our 6 decades of service. What started as a bank that helped manage personal finances and provided opportunities to grow businesses, Land Bank has become an institution known for improving the quality of life for entire communities and ultimately helping build a stronger and more resilient nation. Muli, ito po ang Land Bank, naglilingkod sa bayan. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you very much, SVP Pangilinan, for sharing with us LBP's best practices. It's good to note, sir, that Land Bank has adopted or is using the PDCA model in your service framework. Okay, and I'm sure most agencies can relate because this is the same model that is being used in most of other agencies' quality management system. Again, thank you very much, SVP Elcid Pangilinan. And now we would like to inform our participants on YouTube. Should you have questions, please type your questions in the chat box. And now up next is the Development Bank of the Philippines, and they will share their experience on using evidence-based service quality standards to build possibilities. We have with us today Senior Vice President Ronaldo U. Tepora of the Development Bank of the Philippines Strategic Planning Group as guest speaker. Senior Vice President Tepora serves as head of the Strategic Planning Group. As such, he oversees the corporate planning, knowledge management, and quality management programs and initiatives of the bank. He applied his extensive knowledge in industry best practices and project management expertise to perform critical roles in the bank's business streamlining in 1994, 1999, and 2018, deployment and continued certification of the bank to the ISO 9001-2015 Quality Management System and ISO 14001-2015 Environmental Management System, institutionalization of performance excellence framework, establishment and upgrading of knowledge management portal, and policy framework development and execution for branch establishment and relocation, crisis management, innovation, and stakeholder engagement. Mr. Tepora graduated from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, with a Bachelor of Arts degree, major in philosophy, minor in business administration. He earned his master's degree in development management from the Asian Institute of Management. Let us now listen to SVP Ronaldo Tepora. He is accompanied by DBP's Assistant Vice President and Officer in Charge, Mamerto E. Espartero Jr. of Strategic Planning Group, Quality Management Division, and Assistant Vice President Angeli Visaya Sulit. Good morning, Mr. Ronaldo.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Kaya present to the officials of the Development Academy of the Philippines, led by Vice President Attorney Engelbert Caronan. Also, good morning to Undersecretary Kim Robert De Leon of the DBM, my colleague from our. Also, good morning to Elcid Pangilinan. And also the next speaker from Philippine Airlines, Ms. Jill Norin Legaspi, other distinguished guests, and everyone who's tuned in to the YouTube channel of DAP. So I'm delighted to be with you today, on behalf of our President, Emmanuel Herbosa. And I am speakers, So I'm following Land Bank, so I'm assuring you that we won't be repeating the same concepts that Land Bank has shared with you, because we want you to maximize this opportunity. But just the same, I'd like to be able to contribute to the vast pool of knowledge that we want to harness in today's or this morning session. So for my presentation outline, allow me to briefly introduce DBP to you, because I believe not all of the participants or the individuals tuned into this morning's conference are actually depositors of DBP. So you may want to find out more about us. And then I'll lead you to our journey which institute or adopting, as well as the key drivers that allowed us to be where we are now. In a journey, which institution reviews that we were. I think it's also valuable this experience framework, because if you are institutionalizing service quality, it is good to operate within a certain framework. And we all know that we're still reeling from the effects of the pandemic. So what about a discussion on the best practices? Because this may not be the last challenge that our country is gonna face. No, it may not be a pandemic in the future, but just the same, our institutional capabilities can be challenged when another thing hits us again. Next to that, we'll tackle the continuing journey to service quality excellence. Ang hope ko rito is you'll be able to chart your own journey, learning from the best practice DBP and Philippine Airlines, and then making things happen given our resources, challenges, etc. Okay, so DBP has a rich and colorful history. If you do not know yet, we're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. So this is a milestone year for DBP. And I'd like to say that as a development institution, we're a catalyst. And to illustrate what a catalyst is, kung alam niyo yung tinapay, di ba, meron yung yeast, meron yung dough. Pero yung yeast, you'll never be able to taste that. You'll always taste the flavor of flour, but not the yeast. DBP is like that yeast, no? We're all over. We're in telecoms, we're in infra, in health, in educational institutions. But you probably do not know that DBP had a hand in the development, growth, empowerment, and resilience of these institutions, which are actually the backbone or the fulcrum in the development of our country. So DBP is here in good and bad times. I remember, because we're taught about it, that DBP's precursor is the Rehabilitation Finance Corporation, which was established to help our country recover from World War II. And parang nag-full circle ang DBP nung pandemic eh. So it's another war, but the aggressors are unseen, no? It's a virus. And DBP proved to be very material or very pivotal in helping the country mitigate the effects of the pandemic. So this journey towards institutionalization of service quality began in DBP in the 1990s. I was still very young then. No? I don't know if the speaker was able to mention, but it's my 31st year in DBP already. And in 1999, we used to have that quality circles, which was part of our total quality management program. Now, between the 1990s up to the year or the early 2000, DBP saw that it was very important for us to lend to environmental projects. So we had an early sense that environment was important before even climate change became a buzzword in the world. And so in 2002, we said, so we're imposing environmental protection and considerations in the operations of our clients. So we too should walk the talk. That too, we said we need to pursue this certification even if as a bank, parang hindi naman kami factory, di ba? Hindi naman kami parang wala naman kaming empleyado na nasa assembly line. But then, we should find ways to improve our external and internal impacts so that as a whole, we're able to manage the institution and we can be a model to our clients. Now, 10 years after, more than a decade after we have established our TQM, we thought external validation is important. I'm newly issued yung government quality management, so they subscribe to that because external validation is important for an institution like DBP na meron kami mga multilateral arrangements with kunyari ADB, World Bank, etc. Okay, 2014, di ba? One for the environment, another one for quality management. So we better harmonize those two systems so that we will be more efficient. And so there was an integrated management system installed in the bank by the year 2014. But we never stopped there. So in 2019, we joined the Philippine Quality Award. Okay. And on our first attempt, we achieved level 2. So why am I sharing to you this slide? So if it happened for DBP, I'd like to say that it can be done in as well. Okay, next slide. I don't know if some of you have actually heard, okay, next slide, heard of the jingle or the song Bayan Muna Bago Ang Sarili. In 1998, actually, the Philippines celebrated its 100th year of independence, and DBP had a songwriting contest. And the theme was Bayan Muna DBP, and a short story I'd like to share with you. I used to bring my younger brother with me to DBP, and as a young boy, he would hear the song Bayan Muna. And sabi niya, Kuya, siguro the reason why you've stayed in DBP, na brainwash ka ng song na yun, no? Bayan Muna Bago Ang Sarili. But this is part of our service culture, yung malasakit. Because if we in government are really concerned about walking the talk, empathy is very important. We have clients waiting for us kasi minsan government ka, parang people come to you, no? Because government is needed in almost all aspects of a citizen's life. But empathy will actually define the service that we would have to extend to our client base. And if we have empathy, we will be effective and responsive. Now, samahan natin yung soft, just the framework. And grateful to Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas for coming up with a financial consumer protection framework because with this framework, we're able to integrate many things. Isa dyan yung responsibility and accountability ng government officials. Because without a framework, there are certain things you will miss. You will think that you're already doing the good things, the right things. Pero pag binangga mo siya sa best practice, international standards, may kulang pa pala. Okay? Another service attribute that is important if you want quality to be alive in your government agencies, customer centricity. Anything we do should redound to the benefit our customers. Now, yung mga surveys natin, yung customer assistance management system, for instance, that DBP has, yung pagkakaroon ng department focus on customer experience, are naming some of our staff as customer service officers. This would only mean something if they impact the lives of customers. So that's one thing you should remember when you try to copy DPP and Land Bank. So it's not just copying for the sake of having something similar installed in your institution. You have to make it work. Now, for customer satisfaction mechanism, DBP has two. We have the internal or the in-house, and we also have the external. In the in-house mechanism, what we do is on a monthly basis, or during the pandemic, this became quarterly because it was more challenging for us to do it. We conduct internal customer satisfaction survey, but because it's a GCG requirement. But both surveys are input to improving the operations of the bank. I will not detail what we found in the survey. The results are good. In fact, sometimes you would see, so what else to improve? So sa akin, hindi talaga sole measure it should not be the only measure. It should just be one of the measures to I would remember na to in the past. We didn't think that we needed an iPhone or an Android phone until it got to the market. So, pwede mo kasi ma-predict ang needs ng customers when we're so attuned to how they behave, what they feel, what are their siguro how they live their lives, and the common aspirations of the people. But then we will not forget that the data, the evidence-based materials that are in front of us can be analyzed for alignment, modification, and continual improvement. Okay, so I hope I'm not boring you with framework, but this is another framework of DBP for service quality. Okay, so like LC, so I'd like to admit that there's so much room for DBP to grow, and we're not yet there. But this framework will help us assess whether we're close to realizing our dream for our customers. So DBP wants to have a system delivered to the customer that is safe and low touch, because that was a demand of the pandemic. Maraming tao nga noon ayaw na pumunta ng bangko. So naghahanap sila ng serbisyo na safer and low touch instead in contrast to high touch. And then also seamless multi-channels. So it can be accessed through your phone, can be accessed over the web, or if you want to go to the ATM, you can also do your transaction. And then real time and online. Okay, so to achieve that, there must be customer experience research. Second, results-driven projects and responsive products. And then last, which for me is the most important, organic innovation teams. So your human resource must be taught to think in an agile way, because that's the way to go when we experience the pandemic. If we're not agile, if we cannot change the way we've been used to, then we might become irrelevant. Okay, and then to the left and to the right of the framework, you can see manpower, enrichment, and culture creation, and digital readiness. Okay, so the employees in the bank, or in your case, in the respective agencies, must embrace innovation. So if we're not open to it, kahit pa anong framework ang meron tayo, it might be hard to operationalize that. And then of course, digital readiness. people that we will be transacting with 10, 15 years from now are those who are aged maybe 10 to 20 years old at the moment. And kapag brick and mortar services, the typical brick and mortar services lang ang meron tayo or channels, we may not be relevant anymore 10 years from now. So let's just keep that in mind. Okay, sorry lang po ha, medyo naglalag ang ating ano. Tips. Control. Sorry okay. Now, let me share with you certain best practices amidst the pandemic. If you have relatives who are SSS beneficiaries, please note that DBP is or has been at the center of what they have been experiencing terms of assistance from the national government. Okay, so DBP is proud to be the financial intermediary in pension disbursements of SSS, and during the pandemic, we partnered with we adopted the multi-channel approach in partnership with government and also the private sector to be able to disperse yung beneficiaries or yung pension ng mga SSS qualified beneficiaries. And practically this eliminated the disbursement through checks. Kasi prior to the pandemic, the pensioners would receive their pensions through the traditional check. So it facilitated a lot of things. Now, another best practice during the pandemic, and I saw this in the land bank slide, we have what we call the counterpart, the DBP response. So during severe events like the recent Typhoon Odette, corporations, small, medium, large entities can actually approach DBP and take out a loan. Or if they have existing loans, they can extend the loan that is secured with the bank according to their projected cash flow. Di ba, syempre, pag galing ka sa pandemic, in the initial years, yung cash flow mo affected. Pero pag nakakabawi ka na, then according to the restructuring arrangement you have actually forged with the bank, then you will have more capacity to service your loans. Also, we had MSME recovery. For some of you who have maybe taken a personal loan in GSIS, or you were beneficiary to the pronouncement of government that loan payment can be postponed for at least 2 months. But DBP afforded the postponement of payment up to 6 months and even offered to restructure some of the loans. So ano net effect nito sa kliyente natin? Nagkaroon sila ng flexibility while they're waiting for their cash flow to improve. Okay, another best practice, which is carries with it the attribute of responsiveness, is what we call DBP, ERCA, RCEP. So as a brief backgrounder to this, many of you probably learned that in year 2018 or 2019, the rice tarification law was actually signed by President Duterte. So anong ibig sabihin ng rice tarification law na yon? So yung tariff on agricultural imports were made to align with international standards. So it could hurt the prices of palay that are actually sold by the local farmers. So DBP came to the rescue of the ones in the agricultural sector by first offering a 500 million loan to the nagkakaisa magkasaka ng Isabela Agricultural Cooperative. So since the cooperative has taken a loan with DBP, then this cooperative can actually buy the produce of the farmers. So the farmers need not sell their produce to any other entity low cost. Now halos wala na silang tubo. Now, further, we empowered the farmers by partnering with the Department of Agriculture so that the ayuda for their binhi ng palay na ginagamit nila sa kanilang production could be disbursed through an e-card. Okay, so the process became like this. So the farmers had more opportunity to program what they needed to plant and then sell that to the cooperative. And then the cooperative can actually buy the palay from the farmers at a higher price. And then the cooperative can wait for the prices of palay or margin nila sa kanilang production. Okay, so this is responsiveness and creativity on the part of DBP, and this is something that we're trying to replicate in many parts. Okay, another best practice is right now we're already at the tail end of what we want to deploy to the LGUs, the LGU credit rating system. So I won't be very technical about this, but maybe in layman's term, gusto nating ma-diversify ang fund sources ng LGUs so that their need for funding can also be supplemented by the funds that are available in the domestic capital market. So parang hindi na lang loading requirements nila. Okay. Okay, the next slide talks about okay, the accreditation of DBP to the Green Climate Fund. Actually, Land Bank was ahead of DBP in this respect, but we have already joined Land Bank and we qualified programs under the GCF, which would mean greater environmental protection. Ano bang importance ng attention na bibigay natin sa environment? Mas pro-action kasi we are always hit by various kinds of natural disasters, no? Foremost of which is yung mga typhoon na sobrang lakas. And kaysa ginagastos natin ang pera natin actually, repairing the damage. Ang sinasabi dito sa Green, we can help local governments and communities to be proactive by instituting measures even before the disaster strikes. Now, this People's Survival Fund Plus is a program to complement yung COP26. In COP26, Secretary Dominguez was one of the speakers and he was well applauded because here he demonstrated that the Philippines is already eager to implement greener policies and energy transition mechanism facility, which was not present in our peer countries. So we already have we already want to be able to replace, for instance, coal-fired power plants with renewable energy alternatives. Okay. Now to wrap up, can we just move to the last slide? Okay. Okay. So because we're pressed for time, I'll just bring you to the last slide, which will summarize the experience of DBP. Okay, so to make things happen like in your institution, like we did in DBP, what we'd like to encourage you to do is to be conscious of the dimensions that our customers actually expect from us so that we're able to serve them better. So the first dimension should be the service should be tangible. If you want to address customer complaints or customer expectations, come up with something. Okay. Second, do not forget to empathize. Okay. Empathy with customer is feeling where they are, what they need, and how best we can serve them. Third is assurance. Assurance pertains to our internal pool of talents. No? Whether you're in a line agency, you're in an LGU, you're in a government corporation, assurance works this way. Does your people or do your people actually have what it takes to be able to serve your customer better? Kunyari, ang kailangan ay digital capability at ang workforce nyo, ang average age na siguro ay 50 or 55. How do you encourage them to learn more because they're not retiring yet? So meantime, they're the ones who will face the customers. So assurance is important, no? It's a service dimension. Service reliability. Ang simple explanation dyan, dapat consistent and dependable kung ano man yung ino-offer nating service sa constituent natin. And we are there when they need us most. So we are there even they ask for us. So like Land Bank and DBP, we predict what our customer needs. And that's one way to demonstrate that you're really very reliable. Okay. So let us be committed to service excellence, and I hope our collective action and commitment will work to be able to offer or promote this whole of government approach to the needs of the citizens. Kasi after all, we should be looked upon as one and not as fragmented. You have had a lot of takeaways from the sharing of DBP and my predecessor Land Bank, so that the same can be implemented in your agencies. Thank you, and good morning again to everyone.
Thank you very much, SVP Ronaldo Tepora. Maraming salamat, sir, for sharing with us the service quality dimensions and the best practices of the DBP. Okay, and to conclude the presentation of the DBP of SVP Ronaldo Tepora, please watch this video. While we wait for the video to play, we just would like to inform that there are over 300 participants joining us on YouTube. So once again, if you have questions to our speakers, please type them in our chat box. And kindly indicate the name of the person or the presenter or speaker who you want the question directed to.
Through the years, DBP has established itself as the country's premier institution for sustainable development. Complementing government efforts to usher in a golden age of infrastructure, DBP takes on an enhanced role as the Philippines Infrastructure Bank. DBP will help bridge the country's infrastructure gap. Increased funding and advisory services will be channeled to priority infrastructure projects. Through public-private partnerships at the national and local government levels, DBP will provide the financial muscle for government's Build, Build, Build program. founded in 1947 as the Rehabilitation Finance Corporation. DBP has emerged as an advocate of growth in 4 key priority areas: infrastructure, environment, social services, and entrepreneurship. RFC performed the mandate of rebuilding the country's agriculture, infrastructure, businesses, and industries devastated by war. In 1958, RFC was renamed DBP, with a change in focus from rehabilitation to development. DBP expanded its facilities and operations to accelerate national development efforts. It established a network of branches all over the country. In 1969, DBP moved its headquarters to its present location, along Hilpuyat corner Makati Avenues. Revving up for greater challenges ahead, DBP steps up its drive to influence growth nationwide, mainstreaming more Filipinos into the development process and empowering all sectors to contribute to sustainable progress.
Our third speaker is from the Philippine Airlines, and she will share their best practices in using evidence-based service quality standards in her presentation entitled The Age of the Customer, Using Customer Feedback as a Way to Great Customer Travel Experience. She is Ms. Jill Noreen R. Legaspi. Ms. Legaspi is a seasoned program manager with over 15 years worth of experience in various fields such as marketing, product management, event management, internal communications, and customer experience in diverse industries ranging from IT, insurance, the academe, and the airline industry. She holds a degree in Master of Business Administration and Bachelor of Arts major in Organizational Communication from De La Salle University. At present, she is the officer in charge of the Customer Experience Division of the Philippine Airlines. Without further ado, let us call Ms. Jill Noreen Legaspi. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, everyone. And I hope that you are all having a good morning, and also like to extend my thanks and gratitude, of course, to Attorney Coronan, Undersecretary De Leon, Ms. Mendoza, Ms. Saliendres, and of course, my co-presenters, banking industry heavyweights, Mr. Pangilinan and Mr. Tupera. And of course, to our 300 plus YouTube viewers and Zoom participants, good morning to everyone. It is really an honor for me and also for our customer experience team in Philippine Airlines to be sharing with you best practices in using evidence-based service quality standards to delight our passengers. And I am truly 100% in agreement to Mr. Tupera and to Mr. Pangilinan on how they actually make use and harness customer feedback to provide customer experience. Now, before I begin my presentation, I would like to share with you a very short video on the age of the customer. Can we play the video, please? There you go.
The revolutions came in waves. Water and steam mechanized production, electricity created mass production, and electronics and IT automated everything. It brought us the mainframe, the client server, the cloud. And now the next wave is building, a blurring of the physical and digital world. A fourth industrial revolution is here. But the most profound change is not happening in technology itself. It's happening to the customer. The great equalizers, technology, mobility, and the internet have made customers exponentially smarter, faster, and put them in control like no other time in history. Welcome to the age of the customer. These customers are not looking for a product. They're looking for a trusted advisor and an experience. They don't want features and gimmicks. They want a platform they can build and shape with you into the future. They're not just looking for answers. They want deep, meaningful insights. And the latest generation doesn't even want to talk to you until they meet your community. Put your customers at the center of everything you do, now and in the future. There's no longer a linear process for sales. It's knowing where the customer is at all times and being there for them whenever they're ready to engage. But selling is just the beginning of the new customer experience. Nothing is more important in this new era than customer service. Have the power to see and thrill the customer that's behind each and every single connection. The forces of disruption and innovation are shaping the future of every industry. To win, you need to connect to your customers in a whole new way. Our focus as a company has been on one simple thing: the customer. The age of the customer has arrived, and everything you need to succeed is here.
All right. So the video I just shared with you was actually shared with me also years ago when I started with PAL. So when I started in PAL around 2017, the customer experience team was actually just being developed, and I was part of that, the founding team, wherein now we reap the benefits of really looking into using customer feedback as a source of innovation and how to improve the services that we provide our passengers. So my organization is well, it's not new, and I think everybody knows Philippine Airlines. We are the flag carrier, and as being a flag carrier, we do carry a lot of responsibility, and with that, a lot of expectations for our passengers. In the video, I hope you realize that we are really at an age in the age of the customer. And you have to realize that indeed we are in the age of business where our customers or our passengers are empowered buyers and now are demanding of a new level of customer obsession. With the rise of social media, they can now openly air out their views, their feedback, which is actually rich information for all of us. Wherein consumers have now more influence more than ever. Next slide, please. The most important takeaway, I think, that we are now at this age of the customer is that consumers have more influence over the buying process and even in the way we do business with them versus what we have done in the past. And I like what Mr. Tupera said about us as organizations must be agile for us to be able to continue to adapt and ride with the waves of change that is currently happening right now, not just here in the Philippines but globally. So now the question stands, what does it mean for organizations in highly competitive industries, being in the age of this business or in the age of the customer, and how has the customer experience changed, and what can companies do to meet the new customer expectations? To meet customer expectations, so we need to know what consumers think, what they think about our product or service, and how we do business with them. By getting customer feedback, we actually are hearing the voice of the customer. And Mr. Pangilinan also mentioned this in his presentation, and I'm really happy that we are looking into this kind of approach when we want to improve our service. Voice of the customer is an approach that is not a new concept. And I'm sure that all of you are already using this approach in one way or another. And the voice of the customer is just really a term of describing a customer's feedback about their experiences and expectations for your products and services. It focuses on customers' needs, expectations, and understandings and how we need to improve our business. There are actually many ways on getting customer feedback. You could solicit it through comments, through social media, or getting advice from the customer. You can also ask opinions and review their comments, in your feedback surveys. But for PAL, one of the key tool that we actually use is survey. So if you've flown with PAL, you must have received for every flight that you take after you arrive, or if you have arrived, we do send out a post-trip survey. So again, for every flight that our passenger takes, our passenger receives a post-trip survey asking about not just about your flight, but the whole customer journey cycle. Next slide, please. And just to share with you, this is the customer journey cycle we look at. And we have discovered, from, years ago that it is not just the flying product that, customers look at. It's no longer perceived that let me rephrase that. We have discovered that our customers no longer perceive their experiences with PAL in a single touch point, but in their entire journey. Starting from discovery, wherein you have to, if you want to travel, you have to look in at flyers, you look at the website, you look at your social media pages until you arrive. So how do you claim your baggage? You have a missing luggage. How do you get it? It's lost. And how do you actually get out of the airport? So therefore, it's not just really about one single touch point, but all of the touch points where the entire work company has to work hand in hand to deliver the desired customer experience. So after conducting this survey, what do we do with all of the data that we have? Next slide, please. With the data we gather from our surveys, we align them with existing processes and standards in all of these touch points to see if we are still delivering the minimum standard that is required to satisfy the customer and to get insights on how we can go beyond and level up so that the customer would feel the same level or the expectation they deserve and the kind of service throughout their journey. Next slide, please. Of course, with all of the surveys that we conduct, we also do get other feedback from different methods, such as focus group discussions, in-depth interviews, and research studies. These are just a few ways for us to get rich data and customer insights for us to be able to measure overall satisfaction and ratings of passengers per life stage and touch point, to determine and quantify passenger needs and wants per life stage and touch point, and of course, to identify customer enhancers, delighters, and pain points. Next slide, please. Within our team, when we were developing, growing our customer experience division, we actually have this desired customer experience pyramid. And as you can see, if you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our DCE pyramid is designed this way. So later on, I will talk about how we categorize all of the survey results and put them in the different tiers or levels until we reach, of course, what we can give to our passengers that is beyond the usual, that will make our customers advocates of Philippine Airlines. Next slide, please. Oh, there you go. There was an animation. So there you go. Again, I just want to, can we go back there? I just wanted to share this with you that this is the model that we actually use, wherein if we get the feedback, we identify where do we put in a certain feedback in the pyramid. Definitely, we need to address the minimum standards, the basic needs. When we address this, we are able to satisfy the customers, but do we stop at that? There's also feedback, and there are a lot of feedback that we receive from passengers on how they want their service to be, what else can we include, all of these other feedback or data that we receive that we may not be able to do right away. We actually put them at a higher level, wherein we also want to change the customer behavior from just being a satisfied customer to being a loyal customer and to being an advocate. And that is really the goal of Philippine Airlines, to have our passengers to become advocates of the product that we have, because they are our natural and organic advertisement, which is based on the real service that we provide. And if our passengers reach that point, then we truly know that we have achieved that our services are indeed very good. Next slide, please. So how do we measure our desired customer experience? So early on, both Ms. Aliendres, Mr. Pangilinan, and Mr. Tupera, they have all mentioned this. Of course, we measure if we are doing good through customer satisfaction scores. Other than that, we also have the Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score, the next slide, please, is the likelihood of customers to recommend a company's products or services to others. So this is really a very simple formula that we have. Next slide, please. We ask ourselves, how likely are you to recommend PAL to others? So our NPS, we get the number of promoters that we have based from our customer feedback and the data that we've gathered, and then we subtract them with our detractors. So the number that we achieve for this becomes our KPI. And of course, we also set a certain threshold for both our CSAT and NPS to make sure that that is going to be our goal. Now, going back to our DCE pyramids, I did mention early on that we categorize all of the customer feedback in the pyramid. Next slide, please. Okay, we start off with minimum requirements, or what the customers expect from our airline at the very least. And then enhancers are those things that will drive loyalty to us. And then the lighters would drive advocacy and make them, rave about us, promote our products. So within the team, how do we distribute all these workload? Can we click, please? Yes. So currently, I am part of the team that is actually doing governance, because we cannot really move up to the next level without even satisfying the basic requirements. So this is where all of the most current customer feedback that we have. And in terms of viewing CSAT and NPS, in Philippine Airlines, we do have a 360-degree dashboard that we look at on a daily basis. So unlike what Landbank and DBP shared, where they do have CSAT reports on a quarterly or a monthly basis, it's actually very different with Philippine Airlines. We can actually measure based on customer feedback and airport operations data what is our performance on a daily basis. And from there, we also get a lot of feedback from our passengers on what they hope for for the business that we have. Next, please. Next slide, please. Right. Okay. Talking about advocacy and innovations, again, I did mention early on that there are other feedback that might not be useful now, but will be useful in the future. So these are the innovations that come from the passenger that we would like to look at into the future. But then again, before we even do that, we have to make sure that our passengers are satisfied first for us to be able to offer more innovation for them to be advocates of Philippine Airlines. Next slide, please. All right. And just to show you, can you click, please? We have actually identified a pyramid for each and every touch point that we have. And it's not just the customer experience team. We work hand in hand with all of our different frontline units to ensure that from the time you book your ticket until you arrive or even transfer to a different flight, we have a standard that is put in place, that is being followed to ensure that your journey, your flight will be a good one. And if not, then we actually go back to our drawing board and recalibrate what needs to be improved. And definitely, our pyramid is also being recalibrated. Next slide, please. Right. So this is an ongoing process for us. And like I mentioned, data is actually, we receive data on a daily basis. And what we do is, as customer experience, we are actually the facilitators of distributing or disseminating customer feedback to the different stakeholders of the organization, so that we are able to maintain and ideally exceed the standards that we set in order to continue to delight the customers. Next slide, please. Now, with all of the data that we have and all of the improvements that we actually done with Philippine Airlines, now, does it really work? I mean, does customer feedback really work in improving, or as a viable source of improvement for the organization? And I believe that it is. I'm sharing with you the Philippine Airlines World Ranking. So just to share, Skytrax, if you are familiar with it, it's like the Oscars of the aviation industry. So when we started customer experience, we actually did a baseline study on where is the ranking of PAL. And we discovered that in 2013, we are actually top 90 out of hundreds of airlines, and we only ranked as 3-star. At that point in time, senior management took it as a responsibility that we should be doing something about this. We wanted to improve our customer experience back then, and then year on year, have it by installing or implementing our Voice of the Customer program, ensuring that we do conduct customer surveys and gather feedback from our passengers. We were able to see what areas we need to improve in, whether it be at the booking stage or at the airport or in flight or for when they arrive. Gradually, since then, in 2019, we actually jumped 60 points up to become a top 30 airline worldwide. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. Next slide, please. There, the pandemic really did hit not just, of course, the banking industry, but more so the passenger air traffic or travel industry as a whole really suffered. Nobody wanted to fly. Nobody, of course, because for their safety. But as Philippine Airlines, we wanted to keep the business afloat. And during the pandemic, I think we also really participated and helped out our government to ensure that help is actually being brought to those Filipinos abroad, bringing them back home, and also delivering all of the vaccines all over the Philippines to ensure that we get through this pandemic together. But despite that, given the customer feedback that we got from our passengers during the pandemic, we listened to them. We made sure we recalibrated our services to ensure that the number one priority now, and that will be forever included in our service standard, is safety. And with that, in 2021, the Airline Passenger Experience Association gave us a 5-star ranking during the pandemic. Skytrax and Apex are actually rating programs on verified and certified passenger feedback. Again, I want to emphasize that it's not the organization that ranked us, but these are consolidated data from passengers themselves on what they feel about the service that we deliver to our passengers. Now, I know you must have also heard that, just earlier this year, actually last year also in 2021, the Philippine Airlines filed for a Chapter 11. And that actually raised a lot of eyebrows in the industry, in the business world, whether if we are going to make it or not. But just this January, we had a very successful restructuring. And next slide, please. And as a result, with that, we were able to manage our finances better. We based on customer feedback, also we recalibrated all of our services to bring us the Q1 results, which was actually better than expected. So it's true, and it's not on news, but everybody knew that the airline industry, PAL, along with the other airlines, really truly suffered. And I think the one thing that actually helped us get through this was, of course, the members of the Philippine Airlines team, making sure that we still provide the same level of service despite the lack of resource, and also feedback from customers on really knowing what they wanted in the time of pandemic. And I believe the team was able to do that. Now, as we progress through the year, and we expect also, you can expect that we will also be offering you many different things from the airline. So from the different feedback that we receive, and we do listen to our customer feedback, our one of the number one concerns of our passengers are the baggage. So we listened to it, and now for our turboprop flights, we have now 20 kilos free baggage allowance. Of course, this is not just solely based on passenger feedback. This is also based on what our aircrafts can carry. Of course, we have our aircraft engineering for that to give us also a study if we can indeed offer a 20-kilo free baggage allowance to our passenger. So, you also really need to manage the information that you have from customer feedback, and what you have, or what resources you have, or data you have that can actually complement each other, so that you can offer this type of products. We also get feedback that, PAL is always expensive, and that you cannot afford it, that the tickets are only for the rich, para sa mayaman lang yan. That is actually not true. We now, when we realize this, now I think it's also good for us to inform our passengers that we do have competitive rates with Cebu Pacific and AirAsia, and that if you do book your flight in advance, you will get that same rate. So it's really also based on customer feedback. You learn that you need to communicate or educate your passengers on what services you provide, because they will never know that these services exist without listening to them. And on that note, we also receive a lot of feedback that they are not being updated. But you know what? We actually do. They just have to look into different ways on how they want to be informed. That's why we actually have campaigns, information campaigns, to ensure that our passengers are informed and they never miss an update, just by providing them steps on where to look for the information, and where else they can actually, who can they consult with when they want to know about their flight. So this is actually my last slide already, and I hope that with my short presentation to you guys, and unlike of course Landback and DVP, the airline industry is very complex. But you know what? At the end of the day, what we all want to achieve is just really good customer service, so that people will love us, rave about us, and of course become advocates of the product. So before I conclude my presentation, I would just like to share with you some probably tips on how we can harness the use of customer feedback, how we can get them, and what to do with it. So number one for me is really to communicate and collaborate with your customers. Embrace a two-way communication. You ask for a feedback, they receive a feedback, acknowledge the feedback. So that way you have a closed loop approach on when you are actually communicating with your customers. The second one is put your customers' needs first. Because when you put your needs first, when you put your customers' needs first, rather, they know that you are prioritizing them. And I want to echo what Mr. Topera said about empathizing with the customers, because That is where it starts. When you actually put yourselves in the shoes of the customers, of course, you as well, you are a customer. You want to be treated the way you want to be treated. And of course, all of us wants to be treated with good service. But on my third point, I just also want to emphasize that our customers, they're not the end all and be all. They are not they can be advisors, but they are not the decision makers. That's why I put there that the customer is not always right. I mean, they don't have the same data that we have to validate whether a service is feasible, viable, and what will work with them. So we cannot always think that the customer is king. So that's why we always need to work hand in hand for us to be able to provide a service that is going to be beneficial for the customer and of course also for the organization. And my fourth bullet is to invest in the right tools and technology. So, with all of the data coming in and you don't know what to do with it, it's best that you actually look into a tool that will make it easier for you. So, for Philippine Airlines, we have a 360-degree dashboard. So, in a single view, in a single snapshot, you get to see what area you are lacking, and then you can talk about it, address it, and then test it. So that is also one way. I may not have put it here, but like what was already mentioned, being agile in addressing uh, all of the problems that our customers may experience. But there is no other way for us to test it, no other way to know if it works if we do not test it. So I guess, in relation to, investing in the right tools and technology, let us also not be, scared to try out a service and then get customer feedback. If it fails, then you have a richer information on how to improve this service that you already have. And lastly, great customer experience is a competitive advantage. If you have great customer experience, from every touch point in your service, and people will rave about it, people will compliment it, people will recommend it to other customers, and then you will gain more customers with that. So to end my presentation, I hope as customers as well, make sure you answer that customer feedback form. And as an organization, make sure to read, listen, and put into action all of our customer feedback. And with that, I look forward to seeing you on board on a Philippine Airlines flight. Mabuhay at magandang umaga.
Thank you very much, Miss Jill, for sharing PAL's journey in customer service. I am very excited personally to know when will PAL's next promo fair will be, Miss Jill. Okay, a heartwarming thank you to our 3 guest speakers. Let us all give them a virtual round of applause. Let us now go to the question and answer portion. We will tackle the questions and comments as time permits, and our speakers will give their responses and comments alternately during this question and answer portion. Kindly mention in your chat message if you're addressing your question to a particular speaker. And we have already received some questions, and please allow me to read out these questions from the chat box. Our first question is from the Philippine National AIDS Council Secretariat Supervising Health Program Officer, Ms. Consolacion Ramos via YouTube chat box. How is this related to ISO po? Also dealing with customer satisfaction and providing satisfaction to all clients. And this question is directed to DBP Resource Person, SVP Ronald Depora. Sir? Sir Ronald?
Yes, hello.
All right, sir.
Oh, wait.
Sure, sir. Would you like me to repeat the question, sir?
Yes, please.
All right, sir. This question again is from Philippine National AIDS Council Secretariat Supervising Health Program Officer, Ms. Consolacion Ramos, via YouTube chat box. How is this related to ISO po? Also dealing with customer satisfaction and providing satisfaction to all clients.
Okay. So if I have to rephrase the question, your question is, how is customer satisfaction as a concept related to ISO? Yung ba yun?
Yes,
okay,
sir.
in ISO, there are several clauses. One of which actually is customer satisfaction. So it's very related to ISO. If you don't have a process in your institution that specifically address the requirements of your customers, then it would be hard for you to obtain certification for ISO 9001 2015 version.
All right. Thank you very much. That was a direct answer, SVP Ronald Tepora. And now there's another question from Rizal Medical Center Medical Specialist 4, FPSO NHS, Mr. Rodante Roldan via YouTube chat box. Feedback on SQS key drivers attributes. Ang comment po ni Sir Rodante is too much with overlaps. Perhaps this refers to the drivers or dimensions or maybe questions perhaps. And we have received related questions that were raised through the registration form. And we have summed this question into this. How do we come up with performance measures that delight customers beyond the requirements of ISO 9001? And what are these service quality standards and how can we maximize this in our day-to-day operations? And I think the best person to answer and give a response to this question is from our DAP resource person, Ms. Monica D. Saliendres. Ma'am Nika?
Yeah.
May we please request you to unmute your microphone, ma'am?
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, ma'am. Loud and clear,
Yeah.
Ma'am Nika.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I would like to address first that the feedback on this is the key drivers and attributes being too much with overlap. So actually it might seem overlapping, but actually they are supporting each other. As mentioned, top attributes are service features that clients consider the most important, while key drivers are attributes that influence yung business satisfaction rate rating at a certain time. So, pwedeng yung attributes natin na importante sa atin, mababa yung rating natin and vice versa. So, it might be overlapping, but it's actually supportive of each other. And in terms of the question on delighting, yung measures that delight customers beyond the requirements of ISO 9001.
Yes.
Actually, you don't stop by measuring satisfaction level nga, no? You try to exceed customer satisfaction by manifesting and considering yung needs and expectation nila, and the way you use that expectation to determine, design, and implement your services. It's one thing that you satisfy yung customer natin at a certain aspect of our service, but another thing whether they consider this aspect important. So mas targeted siya. Doon tayo sa mas importante sa customer. Yun yung pwede nating i-address kagad. So yung analytical tool like the importance performance matrix, that can serve as a prioritization tool, no? So we can target, because of the limited resources din natin, we can target ano yung mas importante sa kanila, and that is where we will improve further. So I think I hope I answered the question.
Yes, ma'am. I think that was answered clearly, and I hope na satisfy po yung ating participant who asked the question. Actually, we are receiving... Yes, Sir Ronald?
Okay. If I maybe heard the question right, siguro ang isa rin gustong sabihin ng nagtanong ng question, beyond compliance, how do we delight our customers? Kasi we cannot say naman beyond ISO eh. Kasi ISO nga is the system. So dapat lahat ng ginagawa natin, delighting the customer, satisfying the customer, pasok siya dun sa system. But when you say beyond compliance, ako ang pantapat ko lang dyan is there are needs of customers that are not expressed. So hindi lahat naman nasasabi nila eh. So sometimes you have to guess. But more often, you have to be very grounded. You really have to be with them. And by touch basing with them, you would know that there are needs not expressed but should be addressed. So kagaya ng example ng DBP doon sa RCEP. So alam naman natin, talagang ang farmers need to be able to sell their palay at a higher price so that they can be taken out of poverty. But probably it's not in the metrics. You did not receive that in the customer feedback. But still, you create a program that would address that perceived need.
And yan po ang sinasabi ninyo kanina, Sir Ronald, that's empathy, feeling the needs of our clients beyond any requirement or beyond the customer expectations. Okay, so maraming salamat, sir. And what you mentioned about guessing and along with empathy comes siguro po yung sinasabi nating tinatawag natin na strategic foresight. Yung alam natin dahil we feel our clients, we feel our customers, we plan ahead for them before they even give us the feedback. Thank you very much, sir. Actually, at this point, we are receiving a lot of interesting questions. But to stay on track, we only have time for one more question. And the question, okay, pwede pong sumagot dito are our guest speakers from Land Bank of the Philippines and Philippine Airlines. Okay, the question is, how did agencies with best practices institutionalize service quality standards so that we may have additional techniques to apply or we can benchmark from their practices? Sir Elcid, SVP Elcid, you might like to start.
I was hoping Jill would go first. Of course, it's...
All right, Miss Jill from the Philippine Airlines.
All right, I will try
Jill,
my best
you want to answer that?
Yeah, I'd like to try my best to answer the question, but Ms. Riga, can you repeat the question again so that I know I understand it?
All right, for your question, Miss Jill, here goes your question. How did the agencies with best practices institutionalize service quality standards so that we may have additional techniques to apply, or can we benchmark from their practices?
Definitely. I think benchmarking is one of the best tools that you can do or approach when you actually want to measure whether you are at par with the industry standard. So we also benchmark, not just of course with our low-cost carriers, which is the only operating carriers here in the Philippines, like Cebu Pacific and AirAsia. We also benchmark with the legacy carriers, Qatar, Emirates. And institutionalizing them, definitely because, as an airline industry, we do have to satisfy requirements for us to fly with IATA, IOSA safety standards. Now, these are all in manuals and in handbooks. Now, based on customer experience feedback, you actually align it with the compliance standards, with the standards that is already set by the industry. And with that, and these compliance materials, they are all in the web. IATA, they have it published on what is the standard should be for an airline and what they should be expecting from the airline. There is also a published passenger bill of rights, and passengers would know what to expect from an airline. Now, I also want to circle back on the earlier question about, going beyond what is in the compliance manual. So definitely going beyond the compliance manual is really a one-up, and this is the customer experience that you want to give to your passenger that is more than the minimum requirement. So I'm not so sure if I made sense. Maybe Sir Elcid can back me up on this. But the bottom line is, yes, you can do benchmark with your competitors. There is no better way. to actually improve your service when you have to one up each other. Make sure also that you satisfy the minimum requirements. And from that, when you satisfy the minimum requirements, you know for sure that the passenger will ask for more. Then you go beyond and think of all of those other things that are not mentioned, that are hidden between the lines, then do something about it. Now, I'd like to turn over to Sir Elsid to, give more insights on this matter.
Thank you, Jill. No, yeah. Yes, definitely. I'd like to support that answer of Jill. No, you have, and in our industry for land bank, for DBP, I think we have lots of regulations, no, from BSP, no. But other than that, we are also benchmarking ourselves to the industry. We have other industry players. Definitely, we come up with quarterly what we call league tables that shows how we perform in terms of our different performance matrices. No, but we're also a government financial institution. We're also regulated by government agencies, no, like civil service, COA, and different other agencies, GCG. So aside from the regulatory compliance that we have to undertake with BSP, we also have to also comply with other government standards. No, and so we have to marry those. And it's really very important. The point of Jill, no, that you have to always continuously challenge yourself, in improving your system. So we have at the Land Bank, we have quarterly and even annual review of processes. Aside from, of course, yung ISO audits, and you have annual audits or using the ISO framework. But we also have our own internal audit and also review of processes, manual of operations, and we have to, as units who deliver services to our customers, we have always to tell our regulators, ourselves, no, our senior management, that we are indeed keeping up with what is required, not just what is required, but also what our customers need. No? And I think very important also is the foresight. No? When we had the lockdown in March of 2020, one of the first things that we did, no, our team, is to do a plan ahead study. No, we needed to look at what we did in the previous situations of the financial crisis, and the other situations where the economy was affected, and we benchmark ourselves to those historical situations, and we looked at how can we then improve given the situation. How can we deliver our services? And we have to look at individual clients, our LGU clients and stakeholders, partners, our government, national government agencies, our private and retail customers, and across the board, we came up with action steps on how to be able to provide them the service given the situation that we are facing during the early periods of the lockdowns and the pandemic. Thank you. Jill, I hope I also given you support to what you just said. Thank you.
Yes, Sir Elcid. Thank you very much, SVP Elcid and Miss Jill from Philippine Airlines. I hope hindi po kayo maso-surprise if some, because we are live on YouTube now and there are over 320 participants. Perhaps some of these participants from various government organizations will contact you one of these days and inquire about your service quality standards. Okay, so we hope that you have all enjoyed our Service Quality Standards Symposium and are already thinking about how you can apply the things you have learned from the symposium to your respective organizations. Thank you, dear speakers and participants, for sharing your observations, insights, and practical suggestions for actions. We are nearing the end of our symposium, and to formally close our event this morning, we now welcome back Senior Vice President for Programs of the DAP, Ms. Magdalena L. Mendoza, to deliver the closing remarks. Welcome back, Ma'am Dedeng.
Okay, we have just witnessed another milestone in the government quality management program, with all of you sharing knowledge and experiences in using evidence-based service quality standards in pursuit of public service quality and excellence. It's been nearly 3 years since we faced the COVID pandemic that has severely affected our day-to-day lives and led us to drastically change the way we do things. We were pushed to rethink how to ensure continued public service, provide comfortable and secure life for the people, and create or reinforce new mindsets and perspectives. Now is the perfect time to dig deeper and use the data that we have in developing citizen-responsive service quality standards that will improve the way we deliver our services to the people. With the topics discussed today, we aim to direct you to a realization that with open mindset, feedback from clients that we serve, evidence-based service quality standards, best practices to emulate, and proper motivation, together we can navigate our journey towards service excellence. The symposium gears us to face the challenges we all experience in bringing the government closer to the people. The discussions opened our eyes to the benefits of a system that allows us to come up with validated inputs, quantifiable insights, and measurable success. The evidence we need to better our strategies and service delivery. I would like to think that we are now more with utmost quality and provide the citizens and the business that transact with government the best experience transacting with our institutions, especially as we step in the new and better normal towards national recovery. It is our hope that the best practices on evidence-based quality standards presented by our distinguished speakers from USEC Kim De Leon, President Caronan, SVP SID, Pangilinan, SVP Ronaldo Pora, and Ms. Jill Noreen Legaspi inspired us to listen more to sense, no, transacting with our institutions. To our speakers, thank you for sharing your time and expertise. We have learned that by considering evidence-based inputs in the evaluation of our services, it would help us uphold our duties and mandates to the fullest. Once again, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you in the next symposium. By the way, Director Nika Salientres, thank you very much also for sharing the results of the business satisfaction survey. Thank you very much po. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat.
Maraming salamat po, Ma'am Dedeng. Thank you everyone again for attending the symposium. Watch out for our upcoming activities. Tomorrow, July 1st, we will be conducting a small group focused discussion on rationalizing the service quality dimensions for frontline government services for selected participants from this symposium. And also for the participants who are asking, are there CRM tools to measure customer satisfaction survey? We will be offering a free technical assistance on measurement of organization level citizen client satisfaction using the Service Quality Measurement Tool or the SQM tool. And soon, stand by for the 2022 Citizen Satisfaction e-survey or eCitSat to be rolled out this coming August. For those interested, please email us at pdro.pdc@dap.edu.ph. It has been a wonderful learning experience with you all. We would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to all of our speakers and especially to you, dear participants, our country's lingkod bayani, for your presence and your active participation throughout this symposium. At this point of the session, we would like to present the Certificate of Appreciation to our guest speakers. The certificate reads as follows. The Development Academy of the Philippines awards this Certificate of Appreciation to the presenters for their invaluable contribution in the third GQMP Symposium on Institutionalizing Service Quality Standards, Best Practices in Using Evidence-Based Service Quality Standards to delight citizens and business clients, given this 30th day of June 2022. Signed, Attorney Engelbert C. Caronan Jr., MNSA, President and Chief Executive Officer, Development Academy of the Philippines, and member, GQMC. May we call on our speakers? Senior Vice President of the Land Bank of the Philippines, Strategy and Knowledge Management Group, SVP Elcid C. Pangilinan. Sir? Thank you. Senior Vice President of the Development Bank of the Philippines Strategic Planning Group, SVP Ronaldo U. Tepora. And Officer in Charge of the Customer Experience Division of the Philippine Airlines, Ms. Jill Noreen R. Legaspi. Once again, thank you very much. Muchísimas gracias. Daghang salamat. Maraming salamat po to our speakers and presenters, to our guests joining us in Zoom, and to a total of 320 participants from various government agencies and offices that participated in YouTube. Nakakatuwa po na ang daming comments sa chat box sa YouTube, and we are able to validate how interested everyone is on the topics presented. Sabi nga po ng Lung Cancer of the Philippines Chief Administrative Officer, Ms. Shirley Miranda, via YouTube chat, follow our heart in managing customer feedback. Hear the story first. E for emphasize or empathize. A, apologize. R, reply. And T, say thank you. In short, always a heart or a heart. Okay? Rest assured that all of you who attended the symposium will be issued an e-certificate of attendance. To qualify, please ensure that you have duly registered for today's event, logged your attendance in the official registration form, and evaluated the event and speakers through the official feedback form that the DAP project team has shared in the chat box. Take note that we will upload all the symposium materials in the public view-only Google Drive folder we shared earlier. All files will be available on demand to further your learning. It has been a wonderful time. Maraming salamat ulit sa inyong lahat. With the incoming administration, let us continue to deliver citizen-centric quality frontline government services for all, and to find ways to do so more effectively, efficiently, and inclusively. See you again in the 2023 Symposium, and please like, follow, and subscribe our Facebook page, website, and YouTube channel to stay updated. Maraming salamat, everyone! Thank you to our YouTube viewers!